What if, right now, a creature inside you was controlling your actions, dictating what you do, what you eat, what you love, and what you hate? Would you even notice? Did you really choose to click on this video? Number 10. Emerald Cockroach Wasp. This dazzlingly colored wasp preys naturally on cockroaches. The emerald wasp captures these insects and turns them into food for its offspring, enslaving the cockroach during the process. Attacking a prey nearly twice its size, the emerald wasp uses its first bite to disable the cockroach's front legs. It then plunges its stinger directly into the cockroach's brain, injecting a venom that controls it. Having successfully completed its attack, the wasp retreats and waits for the venom to take effect. Meanwhile, the cockroach regains use of its front legs and continues its life. The only difference is that it makes no attempt to flee from the predator standing before it. Shortly after, the emerald wasp begins chewing on the cockroach's antennae. According to scientists, this behavior is to gauge the amount of venom circulating in the cockroach's body. Too little venom prevents control, while too much can kill the cockroach prematurely. After successfully establishing control, the wasp leads the stupefied cockroach to its burrow. There, it places a single egg at a precise point in the cockroach's body before exiting the burrow. All that remains is to ensure security. After sealing the burrow's entrance to ensure the cockroach cannot escape, the wasp departs to find another prey. For most of a month, the cockroach survives being eaten daily by the tiny emerald wasp larva in a way that keeps it alive. At the end of 30 days, with the cockroach's death, another emerald wasp emerges from the burrow and begins searching for new victims. Number 9. Cordyceps Fungus. Of the hundreds of varieties of this fungus, ants that contract it begin exhibiting strange symptoms. Displaying hysterical and colony-disruptive behaviors, the infected ant climbs to a high place inside or outside the nest, wraps its legs around a surface like a branch, and waits there until it dies. Within 3 weeks, the fungus sprouts from the ant's head, releasing spores that spread to find new victims. Typically, the colony detects the infected ant's behavior and removes it immediately. However, in rare instances when the colony fails, the entire nest may perish. The most chilling aspect of the fungus is that every cordyceps variety in nature targets different organisms. With new species still being discovered, this fungus primarily targets insects and pests, but we can never know if it will mutate and set its sights on larger targets. Number 8. Zombie deer disease. Unlike the brain control scenarios described earlier, this condition is not caused by a bacterium, virus, or parasite. Called prions, these particles are a type of protein, one of life's fundamental building blocks. Prions are nearly indestructible pathogenic proteins that attach to the brain and spinal cord, multiplying and clustering there. Normally, deer live on edge, always alert, but those affected by this disease become completely free of such anxieties. Prions spread among deer through urine, saliva, or contact. The name zombie deer disease stems not only from its transmission, but also from the deer's indifference to pain and their generally eerie behavior. Videos of deer exhibiting bizarre movements due to hallucinations are widespread online. Footage from a school in Iowa, USA, shows a zombified deer aggressively charging at a window and slamming its head against it, seemingly unfazed by pain, a truly unsettling sight. Apparently, this deer descending from the forest into human areas is visibly starving, with wounds on its face and body. It cautiously accepts food offered by someone. However, for a deer to approach a human so closely is an extraordinary event. Unlike the brain control scenarios described earlier, this condition is not caused by a bacterium, virus, or parasite. Called prions, these particles are a type of protein, one of life's fundamental building blocks. Prions are nearly indestructible pathogenic proteins that attach to the brain and spinal cord, multiplying and clustering there. Normally, deer live on edge, always alert, but those affected by this disease become completely free of such anxieties. Prions spread among deer through urine, saliva, or contact. The name zombie deer disease stems not only from its transmission, but also from the deer's indifference to pain and their generally eerie behavior. Videos of deer exhibiting bizarre movements due to hallucinations are widespread online. Footage from a school in Iowa, USA, shows a zombified deer aggressively charging at a window and slamming its head against it, seemingly unfazed by pain, a truly unsettling sight. Apparently, this deer descending from the forest into human areas is visibly starving, with wounds on its face and body. It cautiously accepts food offered by someone. However, for a deer to approach a human so closely is an extraordinary event. Number 7. Phorid Flies. Phorid flies, measuring between 1 and 2 millimeters, have the appearance of standard but tiny flies. What sets these flies apart is their reproductive method. The female phorid fly transfers her larvae to a host, and these larvae complete their development as parasites within the host. Since ants are their primary hosts, these flies are also known as ant head exploding flies. The female fly butterfly roams over ants to find the most suitable target. Once she finds her target, she discreetly deposits an egg into the ant's body. The larva inside the ant feeds by consuming the host's internal organs and soon reaches the ant's brain. The larva slowly consumes the brain, and day by day, the ant's control over its body diminishes. Depending on the temperature, within 2 to 5 weeks, the ant completely loses control of its body and transforms into a zombie ant. The larva then isolates the host from its colony and forces it to wander until it dies of dehydration. After the ant's death, the larva secretes a chemical fluid that causes the ant's head to detach from its body. After about 3 weeks, the fully matured larva bursts out of the ant's skull from the inside. Thus, the larva transforms into a fly and begins searching for new victims, new ants, to continue its lineage. Number 6. Leucochloridium Paradoxum. The Paradoxum parasite, which zombifies snails, is another parasite that conquers its host from within and controls its brain. A snail that ingests the parasite's larvae through its mouth quickly loses control of its body. The Paradoxum takes over the snail's antennae, swelling them to give the snail the appearance of a worm. Normally preferring damp, dark places, the snail suddenly begins climbing trees and venturing into open areas where it becomes an easy target. The snail's body is no longer under its own control, but belongs to its new master in the antennae. With hypnotic movements under the sun, the Paradoxum attracts the attention of nearby birds, allowing the snail to be eaten and providing the parasite with a new host. The parasite multiplies in the bird's stomach and is expelled through feces, becoming a tasty meal for another snail. From there, it reaches new victims. Number 5. Sacculina Parasite. Sacculina, a saltwater parasite, spends nearly its entire life inside a crab's body. It infiltrates the crab through its vulnerable joints, anchoring itself to the host's blood vessels and beginning to develop. As Sacculina grows, the crab's control over its own body diminishes. Eventually, Sacculina takes complete control, and at this stage, the crab no longer lives for itself, but for the parasite within. It can no longer grow mate, or even digest food. The parasite uses the crab's body as a shell until it reproduces. The most terrifying part is that the crab, whose body is entirely overtaken, remains completely unaware of the parasite's presence. Number 4. Grasshopper and Hairworm. The life cycle of the hairworm begins when an adult worm lays eggs near a riverbank. The eggs soon grow into larvae still too small to be seen with the naked eye. An unsuspecting grasshopper confidently approaching the river to drink is unaware that the water it is about to consume will cost it its life. The microscopic larva that enters the grasshopper's body invades it from within, growing to nearly 4 times the grasshopper's size. Taking over the grasshopper's muscles and stomach, the worm compels it to leap into deep waters to its death. Emerging from the grasshopper's body, the hairworm completes its life cycle, leaving behind its lifelong home, the grasshopper, to either drown or become fish food. Number 3. The symbiotic relationship of ants. The symbiotic, mutually beneficial relationship of ants has fascinated humanity for many years. The acacia tree provides ants with highly nutritious leaves, while the ants protect the acacia tree from predators and harmful plants. However, a study conducted in the last 10 years has revealed that this relationship is not as innocent as it seems. It has been found that a chemical secreted by the acacia tree triggers a hormone in ants that activates their protective instincts. In other words, what we call a mutually beneficial relationship is actually a hormonal manipulation orchestrated by the acacia trees. Number 2. Alcon blue butterfly. The Alcon blue butterfly, also known as the little wood nymph, differs from most caterpillars that wrap themselves in cocoons in predator-free areas, typically high tree branches, to become butterflies. However, the Alcon blue butterfly employs a different strategy while still a caterpillar. Unlike others, it drops itself from trees into an unknown realm where insects line up to devour it. Under normal circumstances, this caterpillar would be a feast for ants, but it controls them by secreting a scent. This scent, mimicking that of an ant larva, combined with the caterpillar's size resembling a healthy larva, tricks ants into mistaking it for one of their own and bringing it into their colony. After sneaking into the colony, the caterpillar not only uses scent, but also mimics the sounds ant larvae make when hungry, ensuring it is well fed by the ants. They are fed so well that they receive more nourishment than a typical larva. Their size leads ants to believe they will become strong, healthy ants. Despite thriving safely within the colony, the caterpillar faces a threat: the parasitic wasp. This winged predator can detect which colonies contain Alcon blue butterfly caterpillars. Upon locating its target, the wasp enters the colony and is attacked by the colony's guards. However, like the caterpillar, it bypasses these protectors by releasing a hormone. This hormone subdues the ants and even causes them to attack each other. The wasp reaches the larvae, quickly identifies the caterpillars, and lays its eggs inside them. After completing the egg-laying process, the wasp promptly abandons the colony. Even as the caterpillars wrap themselves in cocoons to complete their development, the ants continue to clean and protect them. Still under the influence of the hormone, the ants treat the butterflies' abandoned cocoons as if they were their own larvae, continuing to protect and clean them. However, a different fate awaits the caterpillars impregnated by the wasp. The wasp larva inside the caterpillar consumes it from within, feeding on the caterpillar entirely during the cocoon stage and emerging from the cocoon as a wasp, not a butterfly. Thus, another parasite benefits from the caterpillar's manipulation. Number 1. Guinea worm. The guinea worm is perhaps the most chilling of all mind-controlling parasites, as its host is the fiercest member of the animal kingdom, humans. The most common place for this parasite to infect you is stagnant water, also known as dead water. Unknown, waveless lakes and ponds are prime examples. If you drink such water, you invite the fleas within it into your stomach. Stomach acid easily dissolves these fleas, but there is nothing our immune system can do against the larvae they carry. These larvae, passing into your stomach, grow into worms. Male worms die and are digested in your body, but female worms pass through your intestinal walls to your abdominal muscles, where they continue to grow. Their growth stops when they reach about 1 meter in length, and they are ready to move to the next stage. The female worms travel to areas like your feet or hands, living there for up to a year without your knowledge. They produce large numbers of larvae. When the time comes, the guinea worm releases an acid that begins to burn your skin from the inside. This worm even controls your instincts, making it impossible to resist the urge to submerge your hand in water. This is a victory for the worm. At this moment, all the larvae exit your body, mixing into the water to restart the cycle. This process is painful and prolonged. The burning sensation and pain prevent you from walking, and the worst part is that you are now aware of a 1 meter long worm just beneath your skin. There is nothing you can do except manually remove the worm from that area, a process that is both laborious and excruciatingly painful. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. See you soon in the next video.